Welcome back. In this lesson, we'll start exploring some of the most essential tools and techniques in Adobe Illustrator. These tools will be the building blocks for creating shapes, adjusting paths, and designing artwork. Through this lesson, I am going to demonstrate how to work with the pen tool and curvature tool. Once you're familiar with the functionality of these two tools, you can begin drawing any complex graphic elements. So, let's go ahead and begin by creating a new document. I will create an A4 size document by pressing Ctrl-N or Command-N. From the New Document panel, I will choose the Print preset, then select A4 size from the left panel. In the Document Name field, I'll type Basic Drawing. I always prefer millimeters for units, so set that value and choose a portrait orientation. Make sure the color mode is CMYK and then hit Create. First, let me demonstrate how to draw straight and curved lines using the pen tool. Start by selecting the pen tool from the Tool panel, or you can simply press the P key on your keyboard. If you right-click on the pen tool icon, you will find additional options, but for now, just activate the standard pen tool. In the options bar, set the fill color to none and the stroke color to black. Ensure the stroke weight is set to 1 pt. Leave the other settings as default for now. One important thing to remember is to keep the caps lock key off while using the tools. If caps lock is on, the tool icon may not display its actual appearance on the screen, which can be confusing. To draw a straight horizontal line, click once with the pen tool to add the first anchor point. Release the mouse button. Now hold the Shift key on your keyboard and move the mouse horizontally without pressing the mouse button. Once you've moved to the desired point, click again to add the second anchor point and release the mouse and Shift key. To deactivate the line and release the pen tool, move the mouse slightly away from the anchor point and press the Escape key on your keyboard. Similarly, if you want to draw a vertical straight line, click once to add the first anchor point and release the mouse button. Hold the Shift key, move the mouse vertically, and click again to add the second anchor point. Release the mouse button and then the Shift key. To finalize the line, move the mouse slightly away from the anchor point and press the Escape key. To draw a diagonal line, you don't need to hold the Shift key. Simply click to add the anchor points and follow the same steps, pressing Escape when necessary. Now, let me show you how to create a complete graphic element using straight lines by combining multiple anchor points. I'll start by clicking to add the first anchor point. This will also be the starting point of the shape. Hold the Shift key and click again to add a second anchor point, drawing a vertical line. Still holding the Shift key, click horizontally to add a third anchor point, creating a horizontal line. For the next line, I want a diagonal, so I'll release the Shift key and click to add the fourth anchor point. Finally, to close the shape, click on the starting anchor point, completing the graphic element. Now, let's say you want to select, move, or delete the graphic elements. First, press the V key to activate the Selection tool, or you can manually select it from the Tool panel. Since we've created these elements without a fill color, you'll need to click directly on the path to select the object. However, if you add a fill color to the object, you can simply click anywhere inside the object to select it. Alternatively, you can draw a selection marquee around the object using the Selection tool, and it will be selected. If you want to delete an object, just press the Delete key. To select all objects on your document at once, press Ctrl-A or Command-A on a Mac. You can then delete all objects if needed. Here's a useful tip. While drawing paths, if you make a mistake, you can press Ctrl-Z or Command-Z to undo the last segment and continue drawing without any interruptions. All right, it's your turn now. Go ahead and practice drawing these elements to get comfortable with the pen tool by creating straight lines. Now, let's learn how to draw precise curved lines using the pen tool. It's important to follow these steps carefully so you can get familiar with how the pen tool works to create smooth curves. Let's say you want to draw a curved line. Start by pressing the P key to activate the pen tool. As before, set the fill color to none, the stroke color to black, and keep the stroke weight at its default value. Here's how to begin. Click on the document to add your first anchor point. Then release the mouse button. Move the mouse slightly upward, positioning it where you want the curve to start. This time, when you click to add the second anchor point, do not release the mouse button. Instead, gently drag the mouse down and to the right until you're satisfied with the shape of the curve. Once you're happy with the curve, release the mouse button to activate the path. Now, let's continue. Click to add a third anchor point, and you'll notice the pen tool automatically generates a smooth curve from the previous segment. If you want the next line to also be curved, click to add a fourth anchor point, but don't release the mouse button. Drag it to adjust the curve to your liking. The pen tool creates curved lines by controlling direction handles that define the curvature of the path. By understanding how to manage these handles, you can create smooth, precise curves. Once you're ready to finish the path, simply press the Escape key on your keyboard to deactivate the pen tool. Now that you've learned how to draw curved lines with the pen tool, let's move on to refining these curves by adjusting the paths and anchor point directions. This is a crucial skill for perfecting your designs. To begin refining, follow these steps. Press the A key on your keyboard or pick it from the tool panel. This tool allows you to select individual anchor points on your paths. Click on the anchor point you want to modify. You'll notice that the selected anchor point becomes highlighted and two handles called direction handles appear. These handles control the curvature of your paths. Now, let's say you want to adjust the curve on the right side of the path. Click and drag the right side direction handle to adjust the curve. However, as you may notice, when you move this handle, the opposite side of the path, left side, may also change direction. This happens because both handles are connected, and by default, they adjust the curve symmetrically. If you only want to adjust one side of the curve without affecting the other side, here's what you need to do. Hold the Alt key or Option key on Mac while dragging the direction handle. This allows you to move only one side of the curve without altering the opposite side. Once you've adjusted the curve using the Alt key or Option key on Mac, you can release the key. The moment you initiate this method, the direction handles become independent. Now you can freely drag any handle connected to the path and adjust the curves independently without affecting the other side of the curve. This flexibility allows you to create more refined and precise shapes tailored to your design needs. When the Direct Selection tool is active, you can also move anchor points by simply dragging them, allowing you to reposition them and change the shape of your path. Additionally, you can drag on the curves themselves to adjust them directly, providing more control over the refinement of your artwork. If you want to add more anchor points to an existing path, press the P key to activate the pen tool. Then, click on the path where you want to add a new anchor point. Once the anchor is added, you can switch back to the Direct Selection tool to adjust the new point, refine the curves, or manipulate the path to fit your design needs. If you make a mistake or want to undo your changes, simply press Ctrl-Z or Command-Z on Mac to revert to the previous state. To delete anchor points, activate the pen tool again, then click directly on the anchor points you want to remove. Deleting anchor points may alter the shape of the path, so you might need to readjust the path or curves using the Direct Selection tool to bring them back to the desired shape. You can also smooth out your curves using the Smooth tool for better precision. To do this, first select the object with the Selection tool. Then right-click on the Shaper tool in the toolbar and pick the Smooth tool from the drop-down. Now, hold down the mouse button and lightly paint over the path where you want to refine the smoothness of the curve. This technique may automatically add more anchor points to your existing path if necessary, enhancing the curve's flow. Let me explain a few more advanced controls related to the Direct Selection tool. After selecting any anchor point with the Direct Selection tool, we'll see several options in the control bar. If you want to remove a specific anchor point, first select it, and then click the Remove Selected Anchor Point option. While I'm not going to click it right now, this option is helpful for simplifying paths when needed. If you need to break a path at a specific anchor point, select the anchor point with the Direct Selection tool. Then, click the Cut Path at Selected Anchor Point option in the control bar to split the path into two separate parts. Now, if you drag from either anchor point, you'll notice that the path has been separated. You can also join two separate paths by combining anchor points. To do this, ensure the anchor points you want to join are overlapping each other. Then, use the Direct Selection tool to draw a marquee around them to select both anchor points. After that, click the Connect Selected Endpoints option. Now, if you drag the anchor point, you'll see that the two paths have been successfully connected into a single path. These techniques give you greater control when refining shapes and creating complex designs. You can also convert corners to smooth curves and vice versa using the Direct Selection tool options in Illustrator. Let me walk you through this step by step. First, pick the Pen tool from the tool panel and try drawing a triangle shape. Now, activate the Direct Selection tool by pressing the A key or selecting it from the tool panel. Next, select the top anchor point of the triangle. If you click on the Convert Selected Anchor Point to Smooth option in the control bar, you'll notice that the paths connected to that anchor point become smooth curves. You can further refine these curves by dragging the direction handles to adjust them as needed. Now, if you want to revert smooth curves back into sharp corners, simply select the anchor point and click the Convert Selected Anchor Points to Corner option. The smooth curves will snap back into sharp corner points, making the path straight again. With these skills, you've learned how to create and refine shapes using the Pen tool and how to adjust anchor points, paths, and curves with the Direct Selection tool. This combination is essential for mastering precision and flexibility in your designs. Now that you've learned the fundamentals of drawing with the Pen tool and working with anchor points, let's explore the Curvature tool, which will help you refine and enhance your artwork even further. Go ahead and pick the Curvature tool from the tool panel or press Shift on your keyboard to activate it. First, ensure that the fill color is set to none, the stroke color is set to black, and the other options in the options bar are set to their default values. Now, click and release the mouse button to add the first anchor point. Then, move your mouse to the next position and click again to add the second anchor point, releasing the mouse button afterward. When you add a third anchor point, you'll see that the entire path will curve naturally. Continue adding points to connect curved paths as needed. If you make a mistake, simply press Ctrl-Z or Command-Z on Mac to undo the last action and continue drawing. To complete the shape, click on the starting point to close the path. If you want to draw straight lines using the Curvature tool, follow these steps. Method 1. Start by adding the first anchor point with a single click. Then, continue adding anchor points by double-clicking the mouse to create straight lines. To finish the shape with straight lines, make sure to double-click on the starting point to close the path. Method 2. Alternatively, you can begin with a double-click to place the first anchor point. By continuing to double-click, you can easily draw straight lines. Since you started with a double-click, you can finish the shape by single-clicking on the starting point to close the path with straight lines. To draw a combination of curved and straight lines, start with a single click to begin drawing curved lines. Continue adding points with single clicks for curved paths. When you want the next segment to be a straight line, double-click on the desired point. Now, I'll go ahead and use the Selection tool to select these objects. Simply pressing the Delete key will remove them. Let's now move on and try drawing these two graphic elements using the Curvature tool. Watch the steps as I demonstrate, and then pause the video to try it yourself. Go ahead and activate the Curvature tool. Start by single-clicking to add the first anchor point. Then, add the second point with another single click. Now, double-click to add the third anchor point since I want to break the direction of the next path. Continue adding points by single-clicking until you complete the shape. If you make any mistakes, simply press Ctrl-Z or Command-Z on Mac to undo the last action and continue drawing. Once you've finished drawing, you can further refine the curves using the Smooth tool if necessary. To do that, select the object using the Selection tool. Pick the Smooth tool from the tool panel. Gently paint over the path where you want to refine the smoothness of the curve. There we go. Now let's try this method. To draw the next element, I'm going to use the support of a guide. Start by pressing Ctrl-R or Command-R on Mac to activate the ruler. Next, double-click on the horizontal ruler to add a vertical guide. Now pick the Curvature tool. I'll begin by clicking directly on the guide. When the tool hovers over the guide, you'll notice the Smart Guides indicating precise points where you can place anchor points. Click to add the first anchor point on the guide. Then, single-click to add the second anchor point. For the third anchor point, make sure to double-click because I want this line to be a straight one. Continue by double-clicking on the guide to add more straight lines. Since I also want the next line to be straight, I'll double-click precisely where I want the line to end. Then, I'll continue using single clicks to complete the rest of the drawing. There we go. However, if you observe the drawing, you'll notice it should ideally be symmetrical on both sides. Don't worry, you'll learn easier techniques to create symmetrical graphic elements using the Curvature tool as you progress through the course. For now, I just wanted to introduce you to the basics of using the Curvature tool to draw elements with both straight and curved lines. Congratulations! You've now mastered two essential tools in Adobe Illustrator, the Pen tool and the Curvature tool. These are powerful and versatile tools that form the foundation for creating intricate designs and artwork. By learning to draw precise paths, straight lines, and smooth curves, as well as refining and adjusting anchor points, you've gained key skills that will elevate your design capabilities. As you continue through the course, these techniques will help you unlock even more creative possibilities. Keep practicing, and remember, design is all about refining your craft one step at a time. Great job so far. Now let's move on to the next lesson, where we'll explore even more exciting design techniques.